On.
Coming to you live from deep within a actually surprisingly warm, at least today, radioactive wasteland. Balmy even, yes. Radioactive wasteland. We are the survivors of the alt-right Keck apocalypse. The few, the brave, the bitchy, once more wading into battle against the... What are we going to call them now? The triggered hordes. With Rantzerker number 226. Women declare sex strike. How dare men betray them by not being allies to them, which essentially means sacrificing men's own interests for women's. Men vote, women most effective. I am your host, Alison, and with me is Karen and Brian. And in short, we are going to be covering the response, the female gestalt. I guess not the entire female gestalt, because apparently 70% of white women voted for Trump. But you know, the gestalt.
52% of women, I think, altogether.
52% of women.
Yeah, so it's the white women and the other category that are to blame for Trump. But yeah, so we're looking into the, I guess you could call it the progressive or liberal woman gestalt response to Trump winning again. You know, and like I try to stay nonpartisan because my focus is men's issues, but I can't help but notice that the other candidate, who I will not name, essentially thinks that men don't need rights because they have all the rights, so they don't need any.
Oh, yeah, no, even Megyn Kelly came out and said, you know, very close to the election, you know, like he's going to be a president for all Americans, including our forgotten boys and our forgotten men. Right? And so I actually have some hope for the council or the coalition to create a council.
White House maybe it'll finally
on men and boys. Maybe that'll finally happen. Yeah, because I mean, like, I was in all those conference calls years ago when Trump first came into office, and there was just no way it was going to happen, right? They were asking me because, you know, I knew Milo, and, you know, kind of Milo had, you know, a little bit of a footprint in the mainstream, and Milo Yiannopoulos, and maybe I'd be able to help get Trump to look at it. And but I think now at this point, I have some better connections that can actually get a message direct to Trump and company, that will have him be able to look at that package for a White House council on men and boys, to, you know, like actually examine things. I mean, Tucker's talked about it. Tucker's interviewed Warren Farrell. Megyn Kelly's spoken about it, right? There's all of these people who are now speaking about.
Warren Farrell was on, I think he was on Megyn Kelly's show recently. Like, Warren Farrell uploaded an interview, about the boy crisis.
Yeah, no, and Jordan Peterson, right? All of these people who are like, you know, they're kind of RFK Jr. I'm sure he would love to see boys and men get stronger, find a sense of purpose, right? Like all of these people, right? And they're all people who are like, yeah, well, you know, Trump might be open to that. Obama wasn't. Trump might be.
Well, Trump did, and I just spoke to Jonathan Taylor on a fireside chat earlier this week, and we were talking about like the gains that were made, and I think he's, you know, trying to, like Alison, be not as nonpartisan as possible, but he acknowledged the fact that with the removal of the Dear Colleague letter when Betsy DeVos took over under the Trump administration, men and boys were there was real success, or real ground was being gained on Title IX. And when Biden got in, he immediately reversed it. So, I mean, I think that if it's going to be at least what it was when Trump was in office in 2016, in terms of like that
improvement,
it's a massive improvement. And I think that, like, he's a bit more critical of the Department of Education now than he was, rightfully so, by the way. And if he puts like Vivek Ramaswamy on his team or something, I know that Vivek wanted to take a chainsaw to the Department of Education. I'm like, dude, go for it.
Trump literally said. Trump literally said, he was on Fox and Friends one morning. It was like after oh God, it was like he had a really late night, and then he got up in the morning and was on there at 7 a.m. and he was like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna cut the Federal Department of Education. Right? He's like, maybe I might keep one person, a secretary, right? And he says, Steve Ducey, if you're looking to retire, you could be secretary of the Department of Education, right? A department of one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right? Like he's looking to take a chainsaw to everything. And rightly so, because
he's talking about bringing on Elon Musk to do what Elon Musk did to Twitter, to the government.
Yeah, trim the freaking fat, and there's a lot of it is like the federal government isn't even Wagyu. It's like Wagyu, like also obese, right?
Yeah.
And RFK Jr. has said that, like there are entire departments of the FDA and the NIH that need to go. Like they need to go, be restructured, and the good people will be hired back on and all the bad people will be gone. But I mean, like Vivek Ramaswamy said, essentially, like, because people were saying, well, you can't do that. You can't just willy-nilly fire whoever you want. These are all unionized positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are all protected departments. And he
That's
said,
part
no,
of the problem, by the way.
But, yeah, it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. And he says you can do it if you just fire everybody. You just fire everybody. You just cancel the department. You get rid of the department and you rebuild from scratch, and you hire back the good people, and you just let the bad people go find another job at Starbucks or whatever.
I was watching this video I actually sent it to Brian earlier. It's Peter Santinello inside America's corruption capital, Washington, D.C. And we were just walking past block and block and block of probably just pork, right? Just people who are doing nothing. And it just occurred to me, like the level of corruption, the level of graft, would it be graft? That's there. And it seems like on the left, I don't even know if you can call it the left anymore. It's basically just that
establishment.
Deep state establishment bureaucracy that isn't touched by any election. You just get into it. I don't know how you get into it, by some kind of osmosis or nepotism or going through the academia or somehow. And everybody's scratching each other's back. And the entire left its platform has become a threat narrative against anyone who challenges that,
to fix that. Yeah.
I mean, it isn't even the left anymore. It isn't even true liberal, classical liberal, or even communist values, if you can call it that. It's just defending the deep state against anybody who threatens their income stream.
Look at the October jobs report. Okay, they were expecting 113,000 new jobs, new payrolls added, non-farm payrolls added. They got 12,000. 12,000. And they 112,000 they were expecting. They got 13,000. Right? So almost 100,000 they had to under expectation, right? But they lost 47,000 manufacturing jobs, right? And the only jobs that were added to the economy were government or government adjacent.
Government jobs, which basically is
publicly funded jobs.
Essentially negative jobs, because government jobs are paid for by taxpayers. So they're not jobs, they're government jobs. And that is exactly what communist states are. So because everything is the state, nothing outside of the state, right?
Yeah, but I'm okay, just to add a little bit of texture here. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I can instantly turn a commie into an arch conservative by simply bringing up men's issues. I don't think you can't have communism as even the utopian vision of communism, you can't have it for only half the population. Like that's the thing. Like they don't have communist principles, because even if I allow that is something that we should strive for, which I am doing only for the sake of argument, Brian, they don't even hold it. As soon as you say, well, but we should also help men with their issues, they're back to bootstraps, merit.
Yep.
You have to do it yourself.
Alison, I know. It's like I said, I've said a million times, the left has nothing to offer men. It is impossible for them to come up with anything. There is nothing that they can do. I have said this over and over. And you know what? This is the thing that blows my mind. It's okay that that's the answer to that question, because we don't need them. Like, we don't, like, literally, Latino men, you're welcome, by the way, came out and they voted for this. They were like, no more. I don't want handouts. I don't want the government involved. I want to build with my own hands, from the sweat of my brow, my own way. I want to make my own way. And all the men were sick and tired of women telling them that they were garbage and that they were going to vote for somebody based on their plumbing. And that's it. And the men were like, no, we're going to vote based on common sense. That's what it was. Borders, economy, period. I don't give a shit about your, dead babies. Don't care. We're voting for the right thing. And that's what the men did. And Latino men and black men in particular. And all of a sudden, and we'll get to that, those guys were no longer black or Latino men anymore. They were just men. All of a sudden, it didn't matter what they were, because that's what it always was. That's what it always was. To the left, men are nothing more than a mechanism to produce, just to keep the machine running, and their needs don't matter, and their concerns don't matter, and they shouldn't be they should be grateful to have that position in the giant machine. And the leftist MRAs are going to have to wake up to it. I'm sorry, but if you care more about your particular politics than the issues of men, then you are not doing this correctly. There is only what has to be done, and men only want they don't even want the government to give them anything. They just want them to get the fuck out of the way. That's all men want. That's all they ever wanted.
Well, like every time I talk to a leftist MRA, I have to basically spell it out to them, and I have to convince them. The more power you give government, the more license you give them to ignore men's problems. That's all it is, right? That's all it is, because the government is a giant machine, and all it does is take money from men and resources from men and transfer them to women, right? And they don't even ask. They don't even tug your dick. They won't suck your dick. They won't cook you dinner. They won't wash your clothes. They won't iron your shirts, right? They won't do shit for you, right? Because they don't have to, because they can take your money by force, and they will give it to women. They won't give it back to you, right? Unless you take responsibility for a woman, right? And even then, it's her money, right? They're just helping you pay for her.
Okay, I just want to get in here. The point I'm bringing up is that every single possible principle and value that the left could espouse has been gutted and replaced by a threat narrative. And honestly, if you can take a leftist and just bring up men's issues and turn them into a conservative, they don't have any values that are separate. They don't have any values that are separate from conservative values. Full stop. The only difference is they have a terminal antipathy towards men, because they have a victimhood complex, which requires a villain. But the other thing I wanted to point out is I think that this election is maybe the first one where I've had a true sense of hope. No offense, guys. And the reason why...
I get it.
The reason why is because I'm seeing something different. And what I'm seeing is that men are starting to wake up to their own interests. And I think that honestly, what lost the left this election, well, first of all it offers anybody is a threat narrative to protect the deep state. And you got to really think about that, guys. If you can take any progressive, any leftist, and turn them instantaneously into a conservative, and the worst kind of conservative, not a conservative who's like, well, we should help people when they're in need. Charity is a good thing, but it should be individual and personal. Not that kind of conservative, kind of a conservative that kicks homeless men in the face and spits on them. You can turn every leftist into that kind of a conservative just by bringing up men's issues.
Can I ask you a question? Why do we think that's conservative?
Yeah,
I'm going to push back on that because I think that there is this straw man idea of what conservatism is that people will bring up. I don't think that kicking homeless people in the face is a conservative position.
Let me put this. No, I understand. It is the leftist version of conservatism.
Well. So that would be like saying no.
It's the leftist. It's the leftist caricature.
But yes. That would be like saying that how leftists will say we care about women and women's issues until a woman says I disagree with this particular thing. I'm pro-life, or I think that, or whatever. And let's say I advocate for men, for example, and then they call them, all of the worst names. They become the misogynist that they claim to fight against. Or like when they say, oh, I care about Black lives. Don't you care about Black lives? You say, well, I'm actually a Black man that's race blind, and I treat everybody based on their merits. And then they start calling him the N-word. Like, that's not conservative. That's just leftists taking the mask off and showing you what they really think. Yeah, I've been on the left for most of my life. I'm telling you, like, the right is not what people say it is. It is simply like it's just like liberty. Like, and to be honest, as an aside, how people are saying now that the Democrat Party is going to be like forever changed or even destroyed by what's happened. They failed to realize that the Republicans were destroyed in 2016. When Trump ran for office and got in, the Republican Party was never the same. All the Mitt Romneys and Lindsey Grahams and all of these neocons and rhinos, they will never recover. They're done. And everybody who votes for Trump, anybody who's like America First, knows that, and they always believed it. It is essentially the latest incarnation of Occupy Wall Street, realized in a political format. And so the Republicans are over as they were, and now it's time to clean up house over here too. And I'm here for it. That's why, like, most of the people in Trump's like side now, a lot of them are Democrats, like RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, right? And Trump himself. Like I said this in 2015. He's only running as a Republican because he knows he can beat them. That was the only reason. It wasn't because he agreed with them. And they're still trying to paint this threat narrative because the threat narrative about whatever they think conservatism is actually a lie that they have made to gaslight people. And now people are waking up, especially men, because they've been under the heel of that shit for like a decade or longer.
Well, what I meant is that they turn into their own caricature of the devil, basically. Of their devil.
Yeah, they do.
And you just have to bring up men's issues, and that's instantaneous. And men are starting to wake up to that the left offers them nothing. In fact, the left offers them less than nothing. I remember a lead up to the election, all of the tweets talking about the homelessness epidemic and
the loneliness epidemic.
Not the homeless, the loneliness epidemic. Yeah. And there were Democrats who brought up one tweet in particular that I sent to you, Brian. I don't know if you saw it. It was one of the ones that I ended up responding to. And
I do have it here. Do you want me to show it? Which one is it? The Tin Men thing, or?
Yeah, well, we can go through the Tin Men thing because, again, I think that what lost the left this election was its behavior and attitude towards men, because regardless, and I don't want to offend like anybody who's still, first of all, I don't think the political left really represents any kind of values at all now. It's just a threat narrative defending the deep state and its monetary interests. So I think that fundamentally politics may be reorganizing itself, but I don't want to point out or like put fingers on like the more liberal men's issues advocates who think about these things. But I just want to point out, like, there's nothing there. Like the left, the political left, and there's probably really deep reasons for this, offers men nothing except
no, it offers them
and vilifications.
It offers them a demand for sacrifice that they can never actually live up to.
Well, it demands complete self-sacrifice and subjugation to women's interests, and that's like that. You offer nothing, and you don't even offer gratitude. Like the left doesn't even recognize what men are doing or what it expects of men. It just expects it of them, and then says, "Well, you owed it because you're a villain." I mean,
and you don't deserve a cookie just for being a decent human being.
People have talked about the 8 million Democrat voters that didn't go to the polls. And they've been
did in 2020, and that's not really suspicious or anything at all.
It was 13 million. It was 13 million.
Okay, but let me propose an alternative. I know that there was a lot of necromancy going on, possibly, but let me propose an alternative. I don't know if we just got demonetized on YouTube. Maybe the people who didn't go to the polls were a significant portion of them were left-leaning men who got the message, the overwhelming party message, that there is nothing there for them.
Yeah, or because Obama in his 2012, Obama got 65 million votes, and Hillary got 65 million votes, and Kamala got 66 million votes, and Biden got 81 million votes.
Most popular president in U.S. history, Karen.
Yes.
That's bar none.
Campaigning from a fucking basement.
Somehow.
Yeah, no. And then you have people and people should look this up. Just look up election irregularities, Senate hearing, Jesse Binnall, Binnall, right? And he goes through the data from Nevada. And
I think Alison's trying to talk.
Okay, sorry. I just want to let's not because I really want to just talk about the politics
and
women. And I mean, you can throw out the reference. People can look up this stuff themselves. I actually I'm really stoked about this particular interpretation, that maybe a portion of that, it may have been something a little bit questionable, but a portion of it may have been men who just simply said, "I'm not voting." And there
probably are a number of men who are just sort of mentally and exhausted from being essentially abused. I think that men on the left are more abused by this than men on the right, or men who are independent, frankly, because they actually have to internalize this, and they feel like they need to do it to be considered a good person. But I got news for you guys. The left doesn't own a monopoly on being decent. And despite what they'll tell you, it's just not the case. And your tone doesn't matter. And that's something else that we should also take away from this, is that, men don't communicate in the way that the left insists that men do. And that's why I think that it's also a good thing that Trump, with all of his, bluster or whatever you want to call it, he is a genuine person who is honest about who he is and doesn't make any apologies. And I think that that's inspirational. And I'm not one of these people who thinks he's divine, but I recognize that, there's a genuine person there. So, but the Tin Men, we got the Tin Men tweet up here. Should I read this? So the Tin Men, I had him on the show. He is a lefty MRA from the UK. And we had some disagreements, in the patron show about things. And he said, "Where are the male allies?" is a question I've been asked relentlessly for the past 24 hours, and it leaves me confused. This is with regards to the results of the election. How can the political left spend years and years berating and mocking men, calling us toxic, comparing us to bears, and denying our lived experiences, only to then scratch their heads when we fail to show up? It's a bit like a gang of thugs trashing the local bakery every day and then acting confused when a cake doesn't arrive on their birthday. So let's talk about what an ally actually is. For allyship goes both ways. Good fucking luck with that, dude.
Yeah.
I can't deny that so many of the people who have mocked me, shouted me down, wrongly accused me of things, tried to make my life a misery, and kicked and screamed every step of the way are now the same people questioning my allyship. God damn. These people won't even acknowledge the issues I discuss here even exist, let alone do anything about them, and yet you think it's me and those like me who are poor allies. The narcissism and ignorance of such people will be the death knell that buries us all.
Okay.
I don't think these people even want male allies, because allies support each other. What they want is a vassal state, a subordinate to do as they're told, to silently withstand the heckling, harassment, and abuse, and to shut up about their own problems. So where are the male allies? Well, we're right here. Where are you? And then he has this meme. Men, the left, what happened to all the male allies?
Yeah, well, that's that. I mean, anybody who starts this journey in a more like liberal corner of the spectrum eventually has to face this. The left, I don't even know if we should call it the left. The threat narrative party needs a villain, and it's decided it's men.
Oh, it's the patriarchy-ists. Yeah. It's the people who are like, well, the patriarchy's to blame for all of this, right? For every ill. It is like what I told Cassie J, right? Like, oh, we don't hate men, we just named everything bad after them, right? And so it's like, okay, so you blame men for everything that's ever gone wrong in history, all the wars, all the disease, all the failures, all of the poverty, all of the everything, right? All of the abuse, all of the violence, all of the racism, all of the sexism. And keep in mind too, second wave feminists basically posited that the template, that racism did not exist until sexism existed. They literally argued that sexism provided the template for racist beliefs and narratives. So racism is the brainchild of sexism against women, right? Which is fucking insane, right? Because when two tribes go to war, right, who gets killed the most?
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, the enemy tribe grants the women their lives.
Yeah, allows them to survive, right? And it's like, okay, so we have a situation where we've been gaslit for since freaking what's her name, Mary Wollstonecraft, right? We've been gaslit since then. About the nature of the relationship between men and women, the nature of men and their feelings for women, right? And you look at her life, she was fucking insane. She was insane. She tried to take her life twice. Once when she freaking had a 9-year-old daughter who was like her soul, depended on her solely, because the man that she decided to have a kid with refused to marry her. And so she just like walked into the fucking ocean and tried to drown herself, right? And leave a 9-year-old girl orphaned in the 1800s, right? These people and I just left a comment. Can you stop, Kevin? Up your T levels, bitch. I just made a comment like, okay, so you have NPR's This American Life. The hosts all took a testosterone test, right? And they, like just a few months ago. And one found he was about half level, right? Half what's considered normal, healthy for his age, right? And all the others were so low, right, that they should be on meds, right? Let's go back to a couple of years, maybe 3 years ago. BuzzFeed's Try Guys, right? They all took a testosterone test. They were all below what's considered healthy for an 80-year-old man. These are young men, right? Okay. And I'm thinking, okay, so testosterone, here's what we know about it. It boosts mood. It boosts confidence, right? It reduces anxiety. It reduces proneness to negative emotion, right? Depression, feeling bad about things, right? It gives you energy. And it increases fairness in bargaining and it reduces the telling of self-serving lies. So what can we say about the modern left?
Yeah. Okay, and to get away from the hormonal problems that the modern left has, maybe they need some gender affirming hormonal therapy.
Maybe they need a patch.
Yeah, maybe they need some. Maybe we could solve the left issue.
Well, I think all men's testosterone is down, but RFK is probably going to get on that. Yeah.
When you're like 24 years old and you have testosterone lower than an 80-year-old man, what's considered healthy for an 80-year-old man? Yeah, no. Maybe you should go on the patch, right? See if it improves your outlook on life, right? See if it improves your confidence. See if it improves your ambition, your drive, your ability to like cope, right? See if it makes you cry less, right? Because every time I talk to a trans man, right, every time I read their account, their account of, what happened when I hormonally transitioned. Well, I just couldn't cry anymore. Like there just wasn't anything that upset me that much.
Yeah. So we should get RFK on that.
Yeah.
Roadkill and T patches for everyone.
I think that he does. Like if you can see the stuff that he wants to change, I think that will have that effect. I think processed foods and seed oils and stuff like that have been absolutely disastrous. Well, and by the way, there's like shit. Yeah, there's like shit that like is in our food in the United States that's banned in like every other country in the first world.
Yeah, we don't get the same Fruit Loops you do, Brian.
Yeah, I know, and it's ridiculous. It shouldn't be that way, and it's a recent development, by the way, too. But anyway,
chemical loops.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I wanted to just talk about in getting away from the hormonal issues that the left has, like literally the left there's nothing there. There is nothing. It's a completely gutted party in terms of principles and any kind of. What they seem to want to do is just create a threat narrative, like I said, and use that threat narrative. That's the only thing they have is that threat narrative, and use it to protect the deep state. Or the bureaucratic apparatus, shall we say?
The administrative state, yeah.
The administrative state, like, and all of the easy money that comes out of it. And something that I saw when I looked at the financials of feminist NGOs, they don't actually advocate for women as victims of anything. They advocate for their own bottom line, using women as a shield and a sword, really. But the other thing
as a collection cup,
and so there's just nothing there anymore. It's like the party of whatever Trump is offering versus the party of keeping the apparatus alive and using women and threats, supposed threats to women and supposed threats to the smallest minority possible in order to keep their grift going. And it's like, you realize like people have gotten into this mentality that persecuting a minority is the quintessential form of subjugation. You know what I mean? That a society persecuting a minority group. No, it's the minority group subjugating the majority.
Yeah.
That has characterized oppression throughout all of human history.
Yeah.
A minority group subjugating the majority. And that's what we're seeing. That's what I think we're seeing. We're seeing a minority group that's in power, that's controlling the flow of money to themselves. And they are using supposedly advocacy for minorities, like, I guess more physical minorities, like minorities that are marked by physical differences. They're using that advocacy to justify their continued tyranny. And they don't care about those minorities at all. They don't care. They're using women as
just look at how they talk about Ukraine, right? Ukraine and Russia, and it's like, when the reporter asked Trump, like, don't you want Ukraine to win? And he's just like, I just want people to stop dying. And what have I been saying for like the last 2 years, right? Like every time I hear Nikki Haley or one of these rhinos, these neocons speak, or these neoliberals speak about Ukraine, all I hear is, well, see, we could get rid of, isn't it great? We could get rid of Putin, and we don't, And we don't have to waste a single American life doing it. How can we do it? Well, for just a little money, we can just keep throwing bohunks into the meat grinder, right? And eventually it'll all work out. And I'm like, I'm a fucking bohunk. My husband is a bohunk. My mother-in-law and my mother are bohunks, right? These are people's lives you're wasting. Right?
Okay.
For some kind of geopolitical freaking bullshit.
Yeah, and mostly men.
You're annihilating an entire
generation of men
on the altar of NATO's desire or hysterical freaking delusional hatred of Vladimir Putin.
Okay. That be as it may, this is another subject that is probably not appropriate for YouTube.
Except that it is men's issues.
No, totally. It is totally, because it is ultimately men's lives that are being sacrificed. And if that's happening, then I'm going to speak out against it. Like, we shouldn't be using men's lives to solve political disputes. And if it comes down to it, then it really should be, there should be a solid reason. It's why I advocate for female conscription, because I know if governments even are going to send a few women to go die against their will, they will really carefully consider in what circumstances they do that. But have we finished the Tin Man?
Yeah, I read the whole thing, and I think you guys. Okay, I don't know if you want to say anything about it, but do you want to move on to something else?
I don't have anything to add. Right?
I think
other than he needs to leave the left.
Well, he needs to recognize the left isn't the left. Like, I think honestly, you might have more room for true left principles within whatever Trump is doing. I mean, look, RFK is there, and he's pretty damn left. Like, and
he's an environmentalist, and
yeah, he's an environmentalist. He's concerned about food safety, all of that stuff, and he's found a place on that platform. I think that it literally, people have got to realize that there's nothing left of the left. That whatever the Democrat Party is, it doesn't have any principles related to helping people at all. It has principles related to helping a minority of people, that minority of people subjugating everyone else and enjoying the fruits of other people's labor, which has been the pattern of oppression throughout all of human history. Wake up. Okay. Well, there was one other tweet that I sent.
Let me see. Is it the Harris Peskin for?
Yes, Harris Peskin.
All right. Yeah. Let me just drop that in here. Hold on.
I think it's also interesting because this was I believe that he's on the left. Yeah. Because
he is, because so he says, I'll read this. Harris Peskin for Democracy. We may not want to hear it, but this is what the data reflects. There is a massive loneliness epidemic in this country, which is disproportionately affecting men. Instead of calling them incels or mocking them, we should be willing to hear out their concerns. And then he follows up and says, some of the comments in here are just gross, hateful drivel. I firmly believe we should be compassionate humans in attempting to grow the Democratic base to prevent the rise of fascism. Hopefully more people share that goal than don't.
No, Harris, these people would rather lose than acknowledge men's issues. That is the left at this point. They would rather lose than acknowledge that men are not the villain class.
But this guy's not much better, Allison, because
no.
I want to. Can I just say this? He's not much better, and this is why. The reason why he's speaking up is not because he gives a fuck about men, but because the men are leaving the party, and he's concerned about the party. See, that's not this. That's like Shu. Shu on Head just made a video where she was like, "Oh my God, men are leaving the left. Why are they moving right?" And then she makes a whole thing about it. And at the end, she's like, "Well, we should change because not because it's a problem with men, that they have problems. It's that they're moving right, and that's the problem." And I'm sorry, but if that's your reason for acting, I don't want your help. You obviously don't give a fuck. Because if the men were lonely, but they stayed Democrats, you wouldn't say anything. if they continue killing themselves, if they continue just being simps for women, if they continue to essentially just live in a state of self-loathing, addicted to porn and drugs and alcohol and just wasting away, but they kept voting for blue, then you wouldn't have a problem with it. And that's my problem. These men have chosen this. You have to suck it up. I'm sorry. You know what? You might want to ask them what it is that they like. And maybe you'll find that they're more right than you think, and they haven't actually made a terrible choice.
Okay, I just want to point something out. Is it really moving right for men to say, hey, we have interests that should be reflected in the political party that we support?
Yes.
But is it?
Yes, yes, it is, because men don't want to serve the state. They want to raise families. That requires them to be removed from the state. Statism is leftism. I've been saying this for 10 years. It's true. They're waking up to it, and they have voted appropriately. They don't want to serve the state because the state does nothing for them, and the left does nothing for them, as it always was. It's time for us to accept it. They have made their choice.
Okay.
Alison, just give me a second.
Okay.
Brian's right. The more power you give the state, the more license you give them to ignore men, disrespect men, quash men, right? Suppress them, take from them, give to people who are not men, right? That, like, the whole left thing of like, okay, so we can just have like not just a national government that's like big and redistributes things and looks after everybody and all of that, right? They want a one world government. They want a globalist system where like one organization, right? Whether it's the WEF or the WHO or whatever, to make all of the decisions for the entire planet, right? And this would be fine, except we're living on borrowed time. We're living on debt. We're like a family who's running a balance. We got 8 credit cards. We're running like right up, a balance right up to the limit on all of them, and we're still thinking that we don't need to change, right? We're still thinking that everything's going to be fine because as long as those workhorses out there, right, that we're starving and neglecting and treating like shit and beating and abusing, okay, and we don't even give them a shelter, we just leave them out in the weather, as long as they can pull the plow, right? Okay. And we can live on credit, and we can live on the workhorses that we import here from countries that need them more. And let's be frank about this, right? The fact that we are poaching talent and labor from countries that lack talent and labor, that are way worse off than us, right? We're damaging women in those countries, right? Because they're raising their kids alone while their men are over here and sending a packet of money home every month, sending remittances home every month. But the men who are supposed to be there providing, protecting, right? Building their country, improving their conditions, all of those things, right? Providing access to fucking basic health care, right? The trained doctors in Nigeria who've come here, right? Because we decided, well, we just want more women doctors. Oh, it doesn't matter that they only work half the number of hours per lifetime that male doctors do, right? That just means we can poach them from like South Africa and Nigeria and all of these other countries that don't have enough freaking staff in their hospitals. They don't have enough staffed beds. They don't have enough supplied beds. Women are dying left and right in childbirth, right? Children are dying all over the place from diarrhea. Diarrhea is one of the leading causes of death in diarrhea. Right?
Isn't that in Oregon Trail, right?
Okay.
Isn't that the one way you can die in Oregon Trail?
And I'm just like, I'm just like, and we just have absolutely no fucking ability to just say, women, that's it. Foot down, this far, no further, right? Okay? You don't get to play doctor if you become a doctor. You have to be a doctor. You don't get to take 2 years off every 4 years to have babies and then only work part-time after that. No, you owe us. You owe us. We paid, you have student loans. We paid $250,000 of taxpayer money to get you your credentials. And you're going to fucking work for it.
Okay.
Right? Or we're going to find a man. Okay. And I am sorry. It is not just men. It is not just about men. It is about everybody. It is about men. It's about women. It's about children. It's about this is not sustainable. This is an edifice. It's a house of cards. It's going to come crashing down, right? Like every fucking household knows when they've got 8 credit cards with $15,000 credit limit, and they're all racked up, and they're 3 payments late on their mortgage, that's when you have to declare bankruptcy. And I'm sorry, but declaring bankruptcy for a family, not so bad. For a country, really fucking bad for everybody. And this is where I see it going. And it all comes down to, we aren't even going to bother taking care of our fucking workhorses. Not only are we not going to bother taking care of them, we're not going to feed them. We're not going to shelter them. We're not going to take care of them.
Give them a kind word.
Yeah, no, we're not going to pet them. Nothing. We're going to beat them. We're going to abuse them. We're going to starve them.
They owe us.
Yeah, because they owe us. They owe us their allyship.
Okay,
they owe us a living. And I am so fucking sick of it.
Sick and tired of it. Yeah. Well, I mean, what I was trying to get at, and I'll actually respond to what you're saying there, Karen, because I think that while I think this is a really good step in the right direction, that men are starting to wake up and starting to vote in relation to their interests, I'm not sure that what we're seeing now is capable of really solving a lot of these problems. Because let's face it, the reason why our productivity in the West is breaking down is because there is no motivation for men to be productive, for a vast majority of men. Now, what I was trying to get at, Brian, when I said, is it really going to the right to say that we need to care about men, is not like, I don't mean this in a statist. I'm not saying that this needs to be compelled care, but the conversation about caring about men, just saying, hey, if men have issues, men have needs, that should be a call for us to do something about it. I don't see that as necessarily a narrative that is conservative or based on the idea of obtaining merit. So there's 2 things going on. Men need a space to be able to develop merit in a pro-social hierarchy. That's something that is an expression of their masculinity. But then I also think there needs to be some mechanism to recognize when men need help themselves, to recognize that men exist when they need help, not just when they are working and building. And now I see maybe hints of this with Megyn Kelly saying that and other stuff, but it's just baby steps right now to recognize that when and not even just when men are victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, and other, which I think is really critical, but recognize that men don't have to work for our society. It's not an obligation. And men aren't going to work for a society when their participation in that society doesn't result in some kind of either social or sexual desirability to women. Full stop. And this conversation, I don't know if it is a conservative conversation specifically. I don't know what it is. Like, but I don't see it necessarily happening on the conservative side. I don't see them saying, okay, wait, how do we protect and help men? How do we make sure men's participation in society is fulfilling their psychological needs? Like, where's that conversation happening outside of us? And I don't even see necessarily that connection between the productivity and the health of the society and the fact that that society needs to fulfill men's psychological needs in terms of social and sexual desirability. And you see what I'm saying? That conversation, I mean, and what I said, and I stand by it, I have a sense of hope because men are coming together and starting to vote according to their own interests, and they've just gone away from, because this is Trump winning the popular vote now, not just the electoral vote, the popular vote. This is likely a whole bunch of Democrat men just sitting it out. They're done with it. They're exhausted. Or maybe they recognize there's no social desirability left for them on the left. There's no path towards
completely demoralized.
They're completely demoralized. So they just sit home and don't vote. Congratulations, leftists. Congratulations. So, I mean, but my point is that this conversation also needs to be happening. And it's not just turn to Jesus that's an answer. Because if turn to Jesus doesn't actually get men at some point social desirability and a wife, like a partner.
No, I disagree. I think turning to Jesus, going back to the whole point of Christianity was essentially one man, one woman, right? And if you weren't in a union, if you weren't in a marriage, you didn't get none. Either way, right? So I honestly think that there's something to be said for coming to Jesus.
I agree. Yeah. There's something to be said for the fundamental moral values that built our culture. But on the other hand, I think that there's something we need to learn from all of this. So we can't always appeal.
I think you're saying it's not enough. It's not alone. Like that's not enough by itself.
We need to take that. We need to take that and not just say we're going to keep doing these rituals. We need to understand it on a deep and fundamental way and somehow apply it to the circumstance that we are experiencing with some informed wisdom. I just wanted to point out Force Tones on the vertical says, I am one of those men. I stayed at home. First time since I was eligible, didn't go full blue. Right there. That's what you did. And this is what's going to, I don't think that the Democratic Party as it is will ever field a candidate that will appeal to Americans at this point. And they need to, and they can't because they don't have anything else to offer. All they are is a threat narrative trying to protect the administrative state. We'll call it the administrative state since
they just line up women in front of the administrative state and say, well, if you want to get to us, you have to go through these bitches.
And they force women into that position through advocacy for some of the smallest minorities possible. That's what occurred to me like a while back, is that when you look for the tiniest minority, that means you can judge yourself, and not even by the benefit to that minority, but by the benefit to whatever you think benefits that minority. And then you can use that to subjugate everyone else. What a perfect scheme for oppression.
Yeah, no, it's the aristocracy versus the serfdom.
It is the religious order of the aristocracy. That's what we're seeing. We are seeing the creation of a religious order that justifies the aristocracy taking from everyone else. And we've just changed the categories of religious order and aristocracy.
I was just gonna say, I think that the thing that a lot of people may not be aware of. No, it's okay. We have monarchists in our chat, maybe a couple. The one thing that I think people are missing is the way that the left is structured. So the structure of the left is it's based on their goals. The goals are first, and then they build everything around the goals. So the goal is to essentially create a more, and I'm going to try and be charitable, so I'm not just going to, straw man them, but it's to build a society that is more equitable, right? So they think that, people need to be lifted up, and other people, maybe they should give more or whatever, so that it levels out and there's equal. It's all about equality as a means to take care of people, which is a feminine instinct that is expressed through this ideology. It's not really the Democrats or whatever, or even the liberals, because these things don't mean the same thing. And so because the left starts from, here's what we want, everything else has to serve that. So they have to re-engineer the way that people live and exist in order to serve that ultimate goal. One of the things that involves is essentially to remove men from their place in a family. So because when a man is in a home with a wife and children, then he is a danger to that goal, because he's not going to depend on the state. He's going to want to take care of himself. It is in men's nature to want to have their own thing that they have built, or they have crafted. It's and I'm not speaking from a religious perspective at all. I just think that's the nature of men to do that. They want their space, they want their business, they want their home, they want their stuff, and they want to know that they earned it. They want to know that they did that. Even MGTOW men that don't live with women, that don't cohabitate with women, also want to be independent of the state. They want to have their own shit. Better Bachelor literally built himself a cabin, right? Lives out of his cabin, or maybe it was a mobile home or something, and does his videos. So I'm not even speaking about tradcon men. I'm talking about just men. This is the way men are wired, okay? Now that is actually an aberration compared to what the state wants. And these people who leftists have to be statists. There's no way around it, because they have to make people fall in line, and they'll start by trying to convince you that it's a better way to live, and they'll say, well, here are all the benefits, and maybe you should be more like this, and they'll base it in things like empathy and caring and community. But if you're disagreeable enough, in which case men are generally more disagreeable, then they're going to start applying more and more pressure. And I think that this is the thing that leftists, period, especially leftist MRAs, have not wrapped their heads around. Although I do think Warren Farrell's coming around, because he's done interviews with guys like Larry Elder and Megyn Kelly. But that aside, is that a man cannot be a man in his own identity as either as an individual man alone, or as the head of a family, and have the state exist at the same time, because it's going to be an imposition on him, maybe in a small way, maybe the way that we have it now, where they just have to pay some taxes. But in a feminist society, which is what a leftist socialist society would look like, that's why men are not, they're constantly demonized and attacked. That's why they're emasculated. That's why that fatherhood is shamed. That's why this guy, when he made this claim, he got a bunch of angry feminists telling them to get therapy, and that they don't care about them and they don't feel bad. Here's one. She says, we absolutely need to find out what's going on, because these are tomorrow's mass shooters. So it's not, I care about men on the basis of that. It's, we have to do something because they're going to hurt us. Right?
Yep.
They can't wrap their heads around it. It is impossible, because these things are fundamentally incompatible. Either men are allowed to live as they want, which would mean they would be independent of the state, or at least as much as possible, or they have to be slaves to the state. And right now, they're almost slaves to the state, just based on how much of the taxation that men pay into that women benefit from. Even in this current model, it could only get worse. This is why the concern for men's issues, concern for fathers' rights and their position of family is, they will never, ever, 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 ever give that a consideration. And it even doesn't matter to them that that's going to, hurt themselves, because they don't care. They're just going to blame men as they melt away into nothingness, because the men didn't step up. And one last thing I'll say about this is, there is no bigger threat to a socialist state than a father who is raising his own children with a mother that supports him. There is nothing more threatening than that. And that's why they went after the family first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, there was.
We haven't looked at the crazy responses.
Yes, I know we haven't.
Yeah,
but I do want to bring up. This woman. What was her name? Lily Tang Williams. She ran for Congress. I don't think she won. She was in a blue state.
Was it in this?
Right?
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Lily Tang Williams. But she was talking to David Hogg. And she's got a very, very heavy Chinese accent. And she says, okay, so, like, what do you think about gun rights or whatever, right? And do you, like, can you guarantee me if I give up my guns, can you guarantee me that the state will not become tyrannical? Right? That the American government will not become tyrannical. And he says, no, I can't guarantee that. And then she just ripped a fucking strip off of him. It was brutal. It was brutal. Go to China and see how gun control.
Oh, I remember. I did watch that debate. I watched that debate. Yes.
Go to China.
She's pretty based. She's pretty based. Yeah.
See how the Chinese people, benefited from gun control, right? And I was just like, oh man, I was like, this woman is, one might call her an American badass.
She is pretty badass. I got a super chow, Allison, and maybe you should. I don't know. You didn't thing the things for that, but I'll read this first, and then you can tell people, and then we'll move on to the video. So Mnemonics gave us $5 and said, testosterone is made from cholesterol, something they've been telling us all we should minimize our intake of for decades. Yes. Eat eggs, guys. Eat eggs.
We should also all eat.
Not Allison though. Allison shouldn't eat
bear roadkill.
Yeah, cholesterol is good. Cholesterol is good.
Or if you can't eat eggs, if you're allergic to eggs, have pork shoulder butt roast every.
Yeah, I have plenty of cholesterol
every now and then. Yeah.
My testosterone levels are probably
definitely higher than the people we're going to watch these videos of.
Male staff of Vice.
No, it's amazing.
Like higher than everybody at Kotaku.
Yeah,
at NPR and BuzzFeed.
Yeah,
I couldn't go box them, because I would be classified as the man, and they would be
MSNBC.
Okay, I just wanted to say a few things just to throw out there before we get into it. There was a little bit of controversy over Megyn Kelly talking about, because she apparently she did some gynocentric stuff before that, but I thought
it was hilarious, but
that's not the point. It doesn't freaking matter if Megyn Kelly is like 1 centimeter caring about men and boys and everything within gynocentrism, because she is a flag in the wind. And the wind is turning more towards recognizing that men should have a say in politics as men. And she's seeing where the side of her bread is buttered on. And that's good, because it's like men, and this is we need to keep doing this. Hopefully get to the polls and start voting your interests.
Well,
that's what's going to make the change.
I have to defend Megyn Kelly too, because just because she brought up Lake and Riley, just because she brought up these women and girls who were killed by illegals, right, from Venezuela, right, these gang members and stuff, the Trende, Aragua, right, just because she brought that up,
prison.
Just because she brought up protecting women in sports and protecting women in the locker room and the bathrooms and the public washrooms and all of that, right? Just because she brought that up doesn't mean that she's like, she only cares about women. And that I don't even think that those things are gynocentric. I just think that they're common sense. But then she added, right, we have to protect our women, we have to protect our girls, and we also have to protect our forgotten men and boys, right?
I have the video clip of that. We can watch it later.
But before we do that, the other thing, well, no, you know what? Let's watch it, because I have one last thing. I want to propose a new political framework, but we can watch Megyn Kelly first.
Okay.
All right.
Kevin, if you don't stop whining, I'm gonna punch you in the butthole.
And there's not a lot of butt on dogs, so it's a
all right.
easy
So this
target.
is 1 minute long. I'm just gonna play the whole clip. I got a super chat from Albert Nader Retro, gives us $5 Canadian, and says, "Wives and girlfriends on a sex strike. It's a good day to be a working girl." All right.
Okay, just one last thing. If you want to send us a message, you're on the vertical, you're on the horizontal, because we control both now. You can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. I will be starting the monthly fundraiser shortly. If you want to pop in and take a look and make sure I got it up and support us, that'll be at feedthebadger.com/support. And if you want to subscribe, that's feedthebadger.com/subscribe. I'm going to do a quick shout out to our new Dan, who is a new $30 a month subscriber. So thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
I have a person. I have like a character named Dan in my story. So.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
All right, let's give a listen to this clip. This is 1 minute long, but it's Twitter. We can probably play the whole thing. So here we go.
And you know what else? One more thing. He will look out for our boys too. Our forgotten boys and our forgotten men. Guys like you. Guys like these guys. Who've got the calluses on their hands. Who work for a living. With the beards and the tats. Who maybe have a beer after work and don't want to be judged by people like Oprah and Beyonce, who will never have to face the consequences of her disastrous economic policies. These guys will. He gets it. President Trump gets it. He will not look at our boys like they're second-class citizens. And ladies out there who want a bit of girl power in this election, let me tell you something. How can you win when the sons and the husbands and the brothers and the dads you love are losing? It's not a win.
All right.
And remember, she did talk to Dr. Warren Farrell before this. So,
yeah,
I think that he may have, with his super, Mr. Rogers, approach, he may have softened her a little bit. I remember she said the funniest word I've ever heard her say that I'm going to try and use as often as possible, referring to the Madison Square Garden rally. She called it brotesque. I love it. Brotesque, everybody. I thought that was great. I was like, oh yeah. I mean, she was critical. She was like, why is it just men? And then I guess after that, she talked to Warren Farrell and she was like, oh, now I know why.
Yeah, maybe it was some enlightening. So I want to propose a different political framework in a world where men actually flex their political clout. We can have one side that preserves the meritocracy in which men earn the social or the pro-social status necessary to attract a partner. And then we can have another side that talks about when we can best intervene in men's lives when they might be floundering or not getting as much as they want out of life to help them get them right back on the path. That could be our two political arms. I know it's a little bit utopian, but I think that actually would be a far more productive and very strong society than what we have currently. And if anybody's like, but what about the women? The men will take care of the women.
Yeah.
As it has been throughout all of human history.
Yep.
Take care of the men and the men will take care of the women.
Yeah. I mean, and men want to do that. That's another thing, anyway, so let's look at this. Is there the next clip? This is MSNBC, Joe Scarborough, and what's his name? Al Sharpton. So I'm gonna share I should turn on the video thing here. This is about a minute long as well, so we'll just let it play. Again, it's just Twitter, so I think we'll be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it.
I just say really quickly too, Democrats need to be mature and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men. Right. It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about.
Misogyny is apparently advocating for your own interests now. Okay.
Yes, it is. But we've arrived, fellow Latinos. We are here. We are now white.
And
we're white dudes. Hey, black guys. Hey, brothers. We are all the same. Finally, we have something to
men now.
organize around.
Yeah, you're all just men now.
Yep. Just like I said, just like I've been saying, you know, being a black man, being a Latino man, ultimately it doesn't matter. You're just a man. And if you step out of line, you lose your whatever purse puppy status as minorities. Suddenly black lives don't matter as much. So feels good, man.
They are pushing, what they're doing is they're manipulating men based on the expectation that men serve women and put their own interests aside to serve women. And they use this term misogyny. This group of people has nothing. They have nothing.
Shame.
They have shame.
I mean, maybe at some point, maybe it used to work. I mean, I think that despite the fact that I think that white men still voted a little bit less than the other groups, especially Latinos. We came out in droves. The men, that is. But I think that the shame does have an effect, at least in terms of apathy.
Yeah,
but, it didn't work out. Yeah,
they're shaming the shit out of men, and what's happened is they're actually inducing apathy in the men who might have voted for them. Congratulations, Democrats.
Well, thanks.
Your behavior towards men is what's losing you this election, and what will continue to lose you any kind of popular appeal. Because the only thing you're doing is destroying your own male electorate. That you are shaming them into a sense of complete impotence.
Yeah, I'm going to finish the rest of the clip now.
Sure.
Here we go.
I swear to God, I will punch you in the butthole.
Hispanics. They don't want a black woman, especially in the United States. You know, the Democratic Party, I've always found when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say, oh, white people don't like women and black people. No, it is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you.
Yeah, I know. He's sort of struggling to put his thoughts together. But I think what he's saying is that historically the left would essentially put a focus or a laser focus on specifically white men for misogyny because you can get away with that. Because you don't want to be called racist. So you'll just say white men. But now he's like, what he's saying is, oh, well, they should just blame all men. It's like, well, yeah, you have been doing that. You just don't want to say you're doing that. I mean, like, what is it when remember the video of the woman that walked 10 hours in New York and got all these cat calls, and she put it up like it was like an 11-minute long video. Do you guys remember that? And it was like guys saying, hey, good morning, what's up? She didn't show that most of those guys were like black and Hispanic guys. Because she didn't want to come across as racist, because in her own framework, in the framework of the left, it depends on who's doing what and who is making the allegation. Like, it's not based in anything principled. It's all based in like what are the appropriate, descriptors and markers, and like what's going to look better and what's going to look worse. It's all optics oriented. So they want to blame men, so they'll just say, well, it is men, but they won't say what kind of men. So there's another example is that recently there was a series of videos of women who have just been like just cold cocked, sucker punched in the face by some random guy. And they would post themselves getting attacked. And of course, they were trying to make the case that there was misogyny in New York City, but they didn't want to like describe the man because he was a black man. So they were caught in a weird like position where they wanted to like say something about an assault, but they didn't want to appear racist. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. And the truth is that Joe Scarborough is actually being honest about what it really is. That ultimately it's just men. It's about men. Yeah,
it's all men. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. No. Okay. It's all men except for this freaking dog. Get up here, then.
All right, let me play the rest because I want to hear Al Sharpton's
oh God
response to this. I know. He looks so weird now. I remember when he was fat. Do you guys remember when he was fat?
Yeah, no, he looked way more normal then.
Yeah, he looks really weird now. He looks like a lollipop, like a man, like a, what do you call it? Like one of those mannequins, like a talking a ventriloquist ventriloquist dummy. Yeah, or one of those things you put on your like dashboard when the head moves.
Bobblehead.
Yeah. All right, but anyway,
I've talked about this before. A lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
A lot
and
of
with other Hispanics. You got some that don't like each other. And some of the most misogynist things I've heard going on this Get Out the Vote tour came from black men. I mean, misogynist things. So you're absolutely right. It's not...
Who's winning at misogyny, guys? I think it's the Latinos. It's the machismo. I think they literally say, oh, they have this machismo thing. So yeah, you know what? I'll accept that. I'll accept that stereotype. All right, Alison, are you muted? I think you're trying to talk.
Yeah, I'm muted, but
okay.
I'm just okay. So
men, it's funny. I mean,
of course, this is what they're going to do. Of course, this is what they're going to do. They only have a threat narrative.
It's all
every time men do something they don't want, they just call them a misogynist and call it a day.
I think Kevin has settled down.
All right, good.
She was wooing.
Excellent. Now
she's just lying here.
Okay.
So do you guys want to see some rage?
Is he lying behind you? Oh, okay. You get out of the way. Let's just see the dog from now on. You just crouch down all the way down. And zoom in on the dog.
I'm not zooming in. I don't even know how to do that, but
she's such a pretty dog.
There's Jojo too, by the way. Right, he's got his own camera.
She's very pretty. Yeah, but she's like really fucking obnoxious. So
she's really beautiful. But yeah, she does make a lot of woo sounds. She's like my dog, sort of. He's also loud.
Yeah, no, she barks loud when somebody's outside, but when she's just like wanting something, she just like wanders around and goes,
whoa, something's happening.
Yeah, and then like when she's annoyed, she like just starts sneezing at you, and then she's like,
swear to God, like
and there she goes.
You know what really annoys me about Jojo is that his bed is huge and he never lays on it completely. His head is always like against like a weird hard surface, like like a metal, table leg or something. I don't get it. Like he uses the weirdest things as pillows.
Yeah, maybe get him like a little foam yoga brick to put his head on.
We have that stuff. He doesn't like it. Like anything that we get that wood you would think is comfortable, he won't use. He'll just put his head on the floor, or like he's on my like Ethernet cables. Just lay on them.
We got him a nice bed, which he has to share with the cat. So it's really funny because you got the cat sitting there, half the bed, and then Scipio's like curled up in a small ball in the other half. But he likes pillows, so we have like I don't know, like decorative pillows, and we throw it on the ground by his bed, and the pillow will be half on the bed, and he'll just put his head on the pillow with his. It's really adorable. He likes to support his head like a human.
Okay, I'm just gonna step away here for a minute. Just don't.
I got a super chat.
Yeah, just don't start anything without me. I have.
All right.
Apparently, it's coming out her bum.
All right. Well, we can. Yeah, that's fine. Let's
relieve your dog,
chat, and then you can do your thing. So, Albernator Retro gave us $5 Canadian and says, "You're not a misogynist, Brian. You always make sure the wife has fresh bedding in her cage at night. You're practically a softie."
you water, and
she knew that when she got involved with one of us, like Latino machismo guys. That I'm always picking fights on the street with my machete and. My grandfather legit killed a guy in a machete fight, fighting for his mother's honor on the island. I swear to God, my mom told me the story many times. He actually had a song written for him that they played on the radio My father's been dead my grandfather rather has been dead for years though, but he was a
national folk hero for killing
tougher.
someone.
He was tougher than a coffin nail, is how my mom would describe it. So, and he worked in the sugarcane fields. So yeah, the most Puerto Rican guy ever. But anyway, so did you already mention the super chows to people?
I can do that again. So if you want to send us a message, the very best way to send us this message is at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. That's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. We get the full benefit of whatever funds you send, except for the usual fee deduction. And you get the benefit of sending your comment not through YouTube's comment enhancement system, which you can interpret in whatever way you want. So that's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. If you want to support the show, the fundraiser will be up shortly. It's monthly to cover our expenses at feedthebadger.com/support. And if you want to become a subscriber, feedthebadger.com/subscribe. And for those of you who are asking if I'm blind, I am not blind. I just suffer from migraines. So I wear
it's the light.
Yeah, it's the you know what? I finally have someone else I can point to who's somewhat like famous. Apparently Melania Trump, is that the correct way of pronouncing
Melania
her name?
Trump?
Melania Trump also has the same issue that I do. So she also wears sunglasses.
Oh yeah, she does. Indoors.
It is the artificial lighting which I require, unless you want to just see a vague gray shape.
Are you talking about the guy in chat named Pepe Chatelet? Allison.
I think
it's Chatelet. It's Chatelet.
It was a few people who were commenting on it. Also, Karen asked me about my glasses again today, and so I figured I'd tell her, but she left. So I'll just tell you guys. It's just I get migraines, and I have to have. If I don't have a current migraine, then I'll switch these out for my gold glasses, which you can actually see my eyes, so you can see that I am not blind. But unfortunately, there's a lot of artificial light beaming at me at the moment so that you can actually see me. Because otherwise, I just look like a ghost in a very, very dim place, I guess.
Don't mess around with the guy in shades. Oh no. You know that song? I wear my sunglasses indoors.
Yeah. So this is what my eyes look like without them.
They look like human eyes. The shock. It's not like one giant eye, like the Cyclops from Krull. You know.
Oh man.
What would you wish for? Ignorance. Anyway, you ever see Krull, Allison? It's good sword and sorcery from the 80s. It's very like low budget movie.
No, actually, I was just talking to somebody who was recommending, because Krull, I think, wasn't that what Ron Howard wrote before Conan?
You mean Robert E. Howard? Robert E. Howard? I don't know.
That's Kull.
Is it? No, Kull. Yeah, that's the precursor to Conan. No, Krull is an 80s, like, it's a weird sort of swords and sorcery fantasy movie.
I think I remember
with the weapon called the glaive, which is like this giant star thing that he throws, and it's like a boomerang. Krull's great. It's so cheesy. I want to watch all those. I think it's about Karen's back. Good. Okay. We're getting to that time now where it's time to watch some good pulpy movies before the Lord of the Rings, the inevitable Lord of the Rings trilogy that I have to watch every December. But anyway, so let's go into the videos. Karen, are you back and ready?
I am back, and Kevin is in the bad dog box because she didn't have to go.
Lies and slander.
Liar!
All right. We're gonna look at not listening. We're gonna look at this video from The View. Despite my I'm actually in a really good mood because our country has a chance.
No. I woke up. I had nightmares all night. Like, I tried to stay up. Till the end on the 5th, and then 10:30 I had to pack it in because it was like, I got to be up at like 5, right? And then 4 o'clock in the morning, I was having nightmares. I just got up and I didn't want to look. I was just like, oh God, I can't look. And then I was scrolling through my emails, and I'm subscribed to the New York Times.
Yeah.
Because, that's how you keep track of what the crazies are thinking, right? And doing. And there was an email notification, Trump storms back was the headline. And I was like, oh, fuck, thank God. Right. And then I actually went and I looked, and then I 2016, I was jubilant. I was like, yes, right? This time, I was just relieved.
Yeah, for sure.
I was just relieved.
I don't want to get too much into that, but let's listen to what The View thought. They were taken aback. Mostly, though, I would say most of the hosts were like, okay, we kind of have to just accept it because he didn't just get the
electoral college.
Electoral vote. He got the popular vote too. So you can't really fight it. Although there are people still speculating. But anyway.
Yeah.
It was pretty red last night.
I don't know. I'm profoundly disturbed. I think if you look at the New York Times this morning, the headline was America makes a perilous choice. I think that in 2016, we didn't know what we would get from a Trump administration, but we know now. And we know now that he will have almost unfettered power.
I worry to make peace deals in the Middle East and to not get us into any new wars and to
Yeah. Also, I want to get to the bit
and to cut taxes across the board and to
she talks about her daughter.
I worry about my mother.
Okay, so my
Karen,
daughter.
Let me just play this. Let me just play this clip. Just let me play this. I'll
I worry about the working class. I worry about my mother, a retired teacher. I worry about our elderly and their Social Security and their Medicare. I worry about my children's future, especially my daughter, who now has less rights than I have.
That's the only clip I wanted to play.
Okay. Well, okay. Social Security. No taxes on Social Security. He wants to eliminate income tax from Social Security. Okay, so oh my goodness, right? What a horrible fascist. Okay. And I'm sorry, but saying I really want to preserve the right of my daughter to abort my grandchildren is not a good look. Not a good look.
It's a weird thing to that I want to understand, how a woman who would think that her daughter has fewer rights than her because her daughter, and it's not even going to be a federal ban or anything like that, but there is a chance that it might be more inconvenient for her daughter to kill her grandchildren in the womb. And that is it's almost like doesn't that seem like a stretch? What is your brain just in a really bad place? And I think it is, because we're going to see some real freakouts in a moment. And I think it's just people operating under very different assumptions. I can't even think about it.
I think they've huffed their own farts and they believe their own bullshit. And it's and I'm thinking to myself, right? Okay, so we've had a Trump presidency, and what did that look like? Well, there were no new wars, right? Russia didn't invade anybody. Hamas didn't invade Israel, right? Didn't attack Israel. North Korea was settling down and coming to the table, right? There was peace breaking out everywhere, right? Job growth was up, right? The economy was booming. Everyone's 401k was doing great, right? Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid were doing okay. I mean, they're going to go broke in 10 years, but not if we do something about it in time, right? Emissions, even if you're a climate change person, right? A single issue climate change person, right? Cleaner air and water and lowest emissions in history in the United States, right? Okay, and in recent history. And so I mean, like you're looking energy independence, and like real wages up by $11,000 fucking dollars a year for the median family. Wait, it was $7,000 a year. It dropped by $11,000 under Biden-Harris to negative $4,000 compared to 2016 in real spending power. Yeah, no, and tax cuts across the board. And even when they found somebody, willing to complain on 60 Minutes about how, she normally, she looks at her tax return as like something that, it's bonus. It's a bonus. It's like I can use it to, take a vacation or buy a car or something like that. Right. And even when they interviewed her, they asked her, like, okay, but overall, right, were you paying more? Right. Like, because her tax return was very small compared to previous years. She's like, no. I kept more in my pocket every month. Right. I just got less back at the end of the year. And I've always kind of treated it as the tax return as a savings account. Right. And they were taking less off my checks and I didn't account for that. It's like, oh, well, maybe you should, because you earned more. You kept more of your own money and you're complaining that you didn't get as much back.
Yeah.
I was just like, how? What?
All right, let's watch
catastrophe happened under Trump's term.
Well, the thing is, though, the people during that time, they weren't looking at what was happening in the world. They were looking at what the media was telling them. And the media was constantly like talking about all of these terrible things and trying their very hardest to like create a threat narrative around the straight white male president. And it was effective on like a lot of people. And it could be anything. They would take the smallest thing. Oh, look at what he tweeted. Let's make this into a whole conversation.
What I found.
We're gonna bring all the political analysts out and all the political pundits out, and they're all all these things.
Yeah,
and
he's
my mother.
He's a malignant narcissist and blah blah blah.
Go ahead.
What I found interesting is Gallup, ever since Ronald Reagan in 1984. Or no, 1980. He asked the question in the debate that everybody figures won him the election, which was, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Right. And every year that an incumbent president has been running for re-election, Gallup asks Americans, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? The September of election years, they ask this. And in 2020, and every single year, including 1980, the Reagan's running for re-election, right? And every year thereafter, they've been asking this. No incumbent president has ever had even 50% of Americans say, yes, I'm better off than I was 4 years ago, right? And it's only if they dropped below 40% that they didn't get reelected.
Yeah.
Okay. And in 2020, September 2020, in the middle of a fucking pandemic, 56% of Americans said they were better off now than they were 4 years ago. Okay? First time anybody had ever broken the 50% ceiling, right? This is why everybody was like, there had to have been some shenanigans in that election, because like the rule is, if you get over 40%, you get reelected. If you get under 40%, you don't, right? And nobody who got reelected has ever even reached 50%, let alone exceeded it, until Trump.
Okay.
In the middle of a fucking pandemic. But the media convinced people that they were better off than they were 4 years ago, despite Trump, rather than because of him. Right? That's what they did.
Yeah.
That's what they did. Right?
Yep. Okay,
and that's what they're trying to do now.
All right, I got another super chow. So
okay, great,
I'm gonna read it. It's a big one from Betty Adams. Thank you, Betty Adams. And she says for $5, Ari, bringing up men's issues with leftists. The conservative perspective is that self-sacrifice and individualistic effort is demanded of all adults. It is corrupted by modern gynocentrism, but the ideal is there is a basis of the culture. And very importantly, the sacrifice is balanced with rewards of both material and moral support. When a leftist is confronted with men's issues, they hyperfixate on only the self-sacrifice and individualistic effort demanded of men and forget the rest.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for that, Betty. Yeah.
Another thing too is that it's a one-way street.
Yeah.
But I said, they abandon every single one of their supposed compassionate principles as soon as men are in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. So they don't actually have principles. They don't actually have any kind of system of virtue. The left has been gutted, and all they have left is vilification of men. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you're gonna just abandon your virtues as soon as somebody says men's issues, do you really have them? No.
Well, no, they don't. But all right, let's look at some freakouts. I've been waiting for this. All right, this one is kind of a funny one. I thought I would start with. So here we go.
Positive energy.
No.
I dare you to tell me to calm down right now.
I would prefer to tell you not to rape someone. That's serious. I'm gonna rape people.
Crazy eyes.
Yeah,
holy shit.
I won't tell you to calm down. I'll just remind you that no means no, and that murder is murder, even when you do it, even if you're a woman.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Is this what it's like listening to me when I start to get ranty?
America, how can you do this to us again? What the
fuck?
My
God. I feel like I might have more testosterone in my little toe than this man in his entire body.
That might be a trans man, to be honest.
What did you do to us?
He looks like a
so
freaking
listen,
infant.
I'm gonna let y'all know this right now, okay?
Oh shit,
so
Cardi B.
Some bets, like y'all won. I know y'all happy. Whatever the fuck. Ain't nobody acting like bitter losers.
Why does she look like?
Y'all need to leave me the fuck alone.
That music video with guys with the huge shoulders and the tiny head? Why does she look like that? I guess it's the fisheye.
Cardi B. It might be the lens. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many filters deep is she. Oh, you're talking about Bus Division, right?
Yeah, like
when they get up close and it looks like distorted.
No,
that was like some Hype Williams shit. Okay, what are you talking about?
Okay, I'm gonna find it and I will show it to you, and you will see what I am talking about. But keep going. All
right, I'm gonna keep going.
Because I got one more fucking cigarette in me before I start lighting your asses up. Alright? And that's what the United States of motherfucking America. Yeah.
As I said in the first part of this video, and
let me jump ahead a little bit.
From the 90s, she also looks like those Koopas from the Mario Brothers in the 90s. Remember?
Oh, the Koopas. Oh yeah, you're the Goombas. The Goombas. Yeah, with small heads.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep looking.
Okay.
Keep going.
For you guys, enjoy.
This is a mother telling her kids that Harris won. Harris didn't win.
That's some serious lemony snicket nose.
So,
yeah, a bit.
Okay, I'm being really shallow.
Yeah.
She's making her kids. She's traumatizing her kids with this news. Like, how could her kids even know what that means if she wasn't preparing them for that in some way? Isn't that kind of
looks like I'm frozen? Shit.
Oh yeah, no, you're not frozen.
Okay, I just.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You're just very still. Like, is there a T-Rex in the room? Like, are you?
I'm trying not to give any vibrations, otherwise it'll notice me.
All right.
It's that woman, the first woman, the one that I said no means no. She's.
Yeah, crazy eyes petrified you like the Gorgon.
Yeah, I just
had a
PTSD flashback.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like the idea of basically scaring your kids like this, it's like, oh,
it's
the
disgusting.
Boogie. No, I've used this before when talking about, you know, things like sexual harassment and things like that are like these big boogeymen for feminists, and it's like, okay, so what do male feminists do, right? They don't say, actually, I'm going to check under the bed. I'm going to check in the closet. I'm going to check the room. Okay, no monsters anywhere. They're like, yeah, there's a monster under the bed and one in the closet and one under the dresser. And I will burn the entire house down to kill that fucker. Right?
Going back to Cardi B, who spoke earlier, that was the Goomba that you thought you saw. You know that she admitted to like drugging and raping a guy and stealing his money.
Oh yeah.
She admitted to doing that.
They even mentioned that on Fox News, right? She roofied men to steal their money.
Yeah, pointing it out.
It occurs to me that
Harris supporter, I guess.
It occurs to me
that all the celebrities, all the celebrities who came out for Harris, right? They were all on
Diddy
the
parties.
Diddy party invite list.
They've been to Diddy parties, yeah.
Every single one of them, and he had them all on fucking tape, right? Because he had cameras everywhere in his house. Like that's.
Yeah. I remember Cardi B was actually critical of the Biden administration during COVID because she had some experiences with COVID and the economy, and she had a lot of complaints about the immigration and all that. And then come election time, all of a sudden they were like, they pulled her card. It was like, you got to come out and support us now.
Usher went on The View and said, no, I'm not going to endorse any candidate. I try to stay out of politics. And then he came out and endorsed, right? And it's just like, like you have all of these people who were like, absolutely 100% against the Biden administration, and then they're like, we're 100% for Kamala now because Diddy got arrested. And they searched his home and they found everything.
Can't wait, man. Cat Williams said it. All lies will be exposed. Anyway, shout out to Cat Williams. Albert Nader Retro gave us $5 Canadian. Thank you, Albert, and says Cardi B, who used to lure men back to hotels so she could drug and rob them. Yeah, she has a leg to stand on. Not I. All right, let's get to the video.
People with ovaries and uteruses and women and anyone assigned female at birth to not look at men, not talk to men, not entertain men, not look for validation in men, not center their world and their being and their appearance and their thoughts around men and look for men and up to men on what they should think and what they should decide, because it's clear that they've never seen us as anything but procreation machines and pleasure objects and dolls.
No, friend. No. That's what you've said men see you as. Like, oh, but wait. When do you think that Trump is going to implement his Handmaid's Tale plank of his freaking platform? Like, I actually asked this on Twitter. I'm like, when is it going to happen?
Order 66.
That's when.
What is that? Like, honestly, because Trump really loved him.
The Senate.
Really loved him some submissive breeder women. That's why he's married like very A-type business women. Almost seems exclusively. You know, like this is. You are buying into the threat narrative, which is the only thing the left has now. And it's not even the left. It's just basically what did you call it? The administrative state. The administrative state.
And interestingly, only about 20% of the Democratic Party supports a lot of this crap, right? So you're looking at double mastectomies for like freaking 14-year-old girls and shit, right? Gender transition surgeries, taxpayer funded for prison inmates so they can go into the women's prisons. And it's not necessarily because they want to rape women. It's often because women's prisons are just a lot nicer, a lot easier, a lot less brutal than men's prisons. But
except for the inmates.
Yeah, well, but and you look at these kind of horror stories, and it's just like they only about 20% of even the Democratic Party supports this stuff. I mean, like, and I remember I was called because Alberta, the Alberta UCP government, United Conservative Party government, proposed transphobic legislation, right? That would ban gender affirming medical care for not psychological care, not like talk therapy, right? But like hormone and surgical care for trans youth, right? For minors, and would also basically say that unless there was some convincing evidence that the parents would be abusive, right, that schools would have to inform the parents if their child wanted to change their pronouns or their name. And I got a phone call from a survey taker, and it really does kind of remind me, because Richard Barris talked with Viva Fry a day or two ago, about why the pollsters got it wrong, and he was like, well, it's because social desirability bias. There is so much, right? And it, like in 2016, it was bad, right? It was bad because if you came out in favor of Trump, you wouldn't be invited to parties anymore, right? But after all of the lawfare and everything that's happened over the last 2 years, he said people that picked up the phone to take the poll, to take the survey, right, were worried that the FBI was listening in, right, that they would be put on a list, that they would be prosecuted.
Well, geez, we don't have any experience being put on a list for an opinion.
I know. And it's like, so he was like, yeah, no, the shy Trump voter became the extremely ultra shy Trump voter this time around. And he said these other pollsters, they just did not know how to contend with that, right? He said, like, anytime anybody picked up the phone, first thing we told them, this is going to be anonymous, it's going to be 100% confidential, and no one will ever find out what you said, right? And what did he do? He predicted Trump's victory, right? Whereas all these other pollsters were like, "Ooh, it's neck and neck," right? It's neck and neck. It's like, "Ooh, it's razor thin." And no, it wasn't. And it's like, yeah, no, when you have the weight of, like, when I was taking that poll, and this woman on the phone, she's like, "Do you support Danielle Smith's anti-trans legislation, right? Do you support this? Do you support that?" And like, I'm a fucking cranky bitch, right? I'm an old cranky bitch who doesn't fucking give a shit. And I was like, yeah, I wholeheartedly endorse protecting children from making irreversible, potentially catastrophic decisions that they might regret later in life. Yeah, no. Call me 100%. Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 5, I'm 5. In agreement. Yeah. Yeah. And you could tell she was like, oh my God, we got another conservative transphobe here. Ugh. Ugh. Right? And I can see why people they wait. And, like, thank goodness for Kamala Harris's campaign, on letting people know that when you vote at the voting booth, nobody knows how you voted.
All right, I'm going to play more of the video. How much longer we got? It's almost 3:00 here. Like, how much longer do you guys have?
Well, I can go a little bit longer, but not too much.
Yeah, like we can continue this at another time since it seems to.
Well, there's a lot, but we'll yeah, it has.
Play a little bit more.
I'll play a little bit more of these.
I just want to do a shout out to the vertical chat. You are always the short bus chat. I always look there. I'm like, what are the retards doing today? Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, they're seeing this stuff for the first time. They don't even know who we are, and they're just sort of. It's okay. Like, thank you for jumping. Thumbs up or thumbs down the stream doesn't matter to us. So, all right, let's listen to more.
Okay.
So, does anybody know how to find or hire a hitman or woman? Because we don't want to be sexist. So, but I think we could pull this off collectively. If you want to chip in, DM.
I beg your pardon.
I'm so glad you guys got your cheap ass
execution.
Yes, she wants Trump assassinated.
She wants to assassinate him.
I'm guessing that
they've already tried a couple times.
The Department of Homeland Security won't be putting her on a list.
No, she's not in line for the extra friendly pat down at the freaking security line at the airport anytime soon.
But you rest assured, American public, the Department of Homeland Security is keeping tabs on nefarious ne'er-do-wells such as
I'm sure
me, like us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's listen to this one.
Got your cheap ass groceries and your cheap ass fucking gas because you're fucking broke as shit. You're fucking broke. You're fucking broke.
Yeah, remember, guys, if you manage to jump through all of the hoops, you're gonna get this.
By the way, this is like how you know that these women don't pay for their own shit. Is that they don't acknowledge that the cost of living is way up, and they're just like, but I want to kill my babies though, and or I just want. It's not even that I want to kill them. I just want to be able to do. Like, I want the ability to do it. You know,
I want the ability to get raw dogged by some fucking scumbag, right, and not have any consequences. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And do you notice that she's using she's shaming men's provider role, which supposedly
JoJo's barking. Hold on.
Challenge, right? The left challenges men's, like, the expectation that men should be a provider, and yet what do we have here? A leftist woman shaming that.
Yeah,
it's like the left doesn't offer anything for men. It doesn't even offer progress for men. One would not even. It doesn't. Offers nothing. Nothing but the same role with no recognition.
Yep.
And continuous shaming. And that's why you lost.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's because, again, your priorities are you just don't understand. Like, why it's not. There wasn't even a question of, like, I wonder why they did this. They were just like, oh, they care about groceries and gas more than women's bodies. It's like, no. You know what? Men they did this for you, ladies. They were like, these women are destroying everything. We're going to save them from themselves. We're going to go vote. I would bet you that you could poll guys and they would say that, yeah, these ladies were just going to destroy us all. And we just had to step in for their own sake. Sometimes, an adult has to enter the room and just take charge,
Dad has to move back into the house. Yeah.
To be fair, women also.
Women voted too, but
women who are not okay. Here's the thing:
women who are not insane. Yeah,
women who are not insane voted for Trump, because honestly, Kamala is not a reasonable candidate by any metric.
No. Can you imagine her sitting across from Xi or Kim or like Putin?
I'll be right back, guys.
Be a joke. But the other thing I wanted to point out was previously there was a woman who talked about, women shouldn't have to appeal to men. Like, we shouldn't care about men's opinions. And I'm like, listening to this, I'm like, your entire platform is that men need to sacrifice everything for your opinion.
Yeah.
Is there anything, like, at any point do you sit down and say, well, actually, women should care about this thing that concerns men or that thing that concerns men? Maybe women should provide this, that, and the other thing. You know, do you ever consider your responsibilities for men? Sure, I guess there might be an argument that you can't continuously care about men's opinion on your attractiveness because one day you won't be. But at some point, where is the conversation about the legitimate responsibilities that women have towards men, right? And it's not there. And yet she will go on, she'll write a list down the freaking street about everything that men owe
her. Yeah.
With no, like what the list of men owe women, how long? Like, and then the list of what women owe men, crickets. Like, it's just poof, nothing. And that is not a workable system.
No.
Okay. I don't know if Brian is back or not, if we're still on air. What's going on? Has Brian been taken out?
No, he said he would be right back.
All right.
I think maybe he had to go pee or
something.
So
I just wanted to point that out. So she has this endless list of what men owe women, likely, and she's saying we should not care about men's opinion at all. Well, maybe if you want men on your side, and I don't like the men who were on her side, probably didn't vote Republican. They just didn't vote.
Yeah.
They just stayed home because they've been shamed into a state of complete impotence by their women. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
You're so you don't even what is it? You don't even want to give a cookie to the men who support you. Right? You don't even want to give any recognition to the men who support you. Well, guess what that does, right? When a person exists without any sense of social desirability or respectability, that induces depression. And guess what depression does to people? It makes them think that they don't matter and nothing they do is going to make a difference. And what happens to people when you put your supporters, your male supporters in that state? They don't vote. Right? Well, you are destroying your own base with this bullshit. Okay.
Yeah, no, and I just, like, even because, my parents, right? They were there together until my dad died. And, like, he really liked, I mean, just like my husband likes, he really liked having his food brought to him or served up for him, right? And so they'd go with friends to buffet dinner or something like that, potluck, whatever. And my mom would dish out a plate for my dad and bring it to him. And her female friends would be like, don't you feel subservient? And she's like, no, I don't. Like, this is what makes him happy. And what am I here for? Right? As his wife, if not to make him happy. And, like, if not to do things that make him happy. And he does all kinds of things that make me happy. He puts the toilet paper on the roll, right? I leave it on the bathroom counter. He puts it on the roll or on the thing. And he puts the caps on all the shampoos and everything. And he picks up my dirty socks and puts them in the hamper. And he does all these he brings me my coffee in the morning. And he does all of these things for me. And so who am I to deprive him of this one tiny little thing that makes him happy, right? To say, oh, well, because that's a stereotypical women's role, right? That I can't do it because, then I'm subservient to my husband, right? Like, no.
And those women weren't subservient either. If they were subservient to anything, it was to their desire to make their husbands happy. What the hell is wrong? Like, why do women have to be told shit like this? Like, there's an entire religion that's like, hey, ladies, could you just want to make your husbands happy? That might, God would like you if you do that. I mean, why do women need to be told that?
Oh no, there's multiple religions who say that, right? And it's like, yeah, no, just like, hey, you've picked a partner for life. It's in your best interest to make them happy
and listen to them and trust them.
Trust them. Help make them prosperous. Help make them, capable. Right, all of those things, like help make them healthy and happy and content and ambitious, and back them up when they need it, and sometimes even give them a scolding when they are falling short. Yes, sometimes. But like you have a situation where it's like, no, it's just the relationship between men and women is just a one-way street. Women owe men nothing, men owe women everything.
And it's awful. And honestly, this system in which women have basically turned themselves into fodder for a threat narrative to protect the administrative state, and that's it's making women miserable. And of course it is, because all you seek is your victimhood. And this is what we're seeing right now. And
that's your baby.
We are at 2 hours. So even though Brian is back, thank you coming back.
Yeah,
Brian.
Sorry, I had to take the maintenance guys came and I had to let them in real quick. We can wrap it up here.
Yeah,
but we can do more of these if you guys want us
we
to.
got another
we get
10 minutes of it. So if you guys want us to do more, just get in the comments and say more or whatever.
Keck is risen. Indeed, he is risen. So
okay, so I just want to thank everybody who supported. Let's just double check on the super chows, and I'll see.
Right.
You guys can't support now because I don't have the monthly fundraiser open.
No new super chows that I can tell.
Thank you for any intents, any putting it out into the Zeitgeist that we should be supported. So feedthebadger.com/justthetip. If you have any comments, you want to tell us that you want us to do this some more. We definitely very, very much consider your super chows and what you want us to cover in them. So feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Any commentary, feedthebadger.com/support to make sure the show can keep going, because I think we definitely bring our own spin to these topics, shall we say. Mm-hmm. And actually, do you know that I sent a video? It might actually be fun to go out on it. Let me just find it for you, Brian. So, yeah, no, it's you'll like it. I think maybe you might. We'll see. But it's a video that we did like in 2016, and it sort of sends up all of the stuff that it just give me a moment. Oh god damn, there's so much stuff in the meme. Oh, if you want to join our community, you can do so at badgernation.online as well. That it's a pretty active. You
share some memes. It's gonna get dank, guys. It's gonna get very dank before it gets better.
Yeah.
So man.
I put it through your DMs. I slipped into your DMs there, Brian.
All right. Thank you.
No. But you also have to. You also, before we go,
I have to download this first. Did you upload it as a?
Yeah, it's a very small file. So.
All right.
But you before we go, you also have to play the Midnight Mitch, Dank Brandon video.
Mm-hmm. Dank Brandon.
Oh God. Let me see if I can.
Well, let me play this. Let me play this video for you guys first, and then.
All right.
Give me that.
Watch this, Karen.
Well, Badger, now that the world is in ruin, what do you have to say for yourself?
Wait, what? You pretended Trump was a ghoulish monster, and when he won, everyone you convinced went on the warpath.
If you hadn't supported him...
I didn't.
Excuse his vile depravity...
Telling everyone he's Satan is the reason why they're going nuts. What vile depravity?
Exactly. And voted for him...
Anita Walker!
Yep. Okay, let me just find this, and I'll.
I voted libertarian.
That was before the libertarians were co-opted. We did that.
Okay, you just need to go to my Twitter account and look at a few posts down on November 6th, and it says, "Okay, I laughed so hard at this," proving my husband right.
I think I know the one. I saw it too.
Yeah.
I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, proving my husband right. I have the sense of humor of a teenage boy.
Yeah. I've seen it. Let me just see. I'll find it.
I sent it to my mom, and she freaking laughed her ass off.
That's funny. All right, you said the 6th. We're wrapping it up here. We're wrapping it up.
Okay, so let me just do the shout outs again. feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Send us something so that we can talk about it while Karen attempts to find her tweet.
Oh my god.
This is the period of the show.
I got it. It's up.
Okay,
I'm playing it now.
My fellow Americans and autists who voted for Trump, it's your boy Dank Brandon here. I want to take a moment to congratulate the DNC on losing another election to Donald Trump. You replaced me with a candidate who has the same likability as Greasy, hobo taint, and expected to win, and they said I'm the retarded one. The Democrats said that I was too old, that I was too slow, that I was a joke. Well, here's a joke for you. What do Willie Brown and the 2024 presidential election have in common? Kamala Harris blew both of them. I shouldn't have. But seriously, I mean, first Hillary loses to Donald and now Kamala. This man has beaten more women than Doug Emhoff. Anyway, congrats on losing to Hitler again. I hope he locked you all up this time. Thank Brandon out. My fellow Americans.
the same likability as Greasy hobo taint. I actually had to, when I emailed my mom this link and the transcript, I had to explain to her what a taint is.
Oh, God.
And why it's called a taint. Because it taint a cunt and it taint an asshole.
Oh, you don't know what the taint is? Or the gooch, as it's often referred?
All right. I feel like this discussion, like we've got all the political juice out of this discussion.
Keep your gooch clean, guys.
Now we're into some kind of rind.
No, we're wrapping up. So did you do all the things so I can do my things?
I did all the things. Feedthebadger.com.
Just remember, clean your gun.
Yeah. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip to send us a comment, and feedthebadger.com/support to support the show. And if you want to join us for more content, feedthebadger.com/subscribe, and you get the patron only shows. So there you go. Back to you, Brian.
All right. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today, and please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of the Rantzerker, and we'll talk to you guys in the next video.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.